Hi guys, and welcome to today's session. So we're going to be working on a little bit of pencil sketching today and working from a portrait as well. So I've got the reference up on screen, and this reference is an old photograph from the Met collection in New York, which I use a lot on this channel to find references. And the reason I use it is it's a great free resource. So it's got references that you can use, things like photographs, like older photographs, paintings if you want to do kind of like master copies for your art, especially when you're learning, so these sorts of exercises. Yeah, all that sort of stuff. Loads of great resources that you can use. And today we're just working from this old kind of photograph, I think, of a guy from the late 19th century by the looks of it. And what I'm starting with, you can see I've got, starting to kind of think about the overall width of the drawing, so of the head, going down to his beard, and also the overall height. Because what I want to try to get down today in this first session is just a kind of general but fairly accurate block in of his head, so all the kind of major shapes in his head. So I'm starting to get, so this is sort of the beginning of the beard. This is thinking about the point where his his moustache would be. And then just above that, that's going to be our kind of nose point going up to the center line of the eyes. So his kind of irises and pupils would be about there. So I'm just lightly placing the shape of his top lids. And we haven't got loads of tone to work with this drawing. Sometimes you have more. Just putting some little box type shapes as little placeholders for his eyes. Just want to get them lined up. And we're going to sort of work around that point. So if that's the top of his eyelid, it's got quite a tall top lid. So you can see I'm using really simple lines, simple kind of breakdown. Not entirely symmetrical as lids as well, so I want to try to get that expression. It's a bit sort of flatter, his brow on the right hand side. A bit more raised on the right hand side. You can see it's coming together kind of pretty quickly. Just focusing on these central features. But I'm holding the pencil like really far back, and I'm not allowing myself to kind of put heavy marks. If you hold the pencil really far back like this, you can't really put heavy marks in easily. If you want to make any little adjustments, you can use your eraser as well. I think the eye on the right hand side is already roughly in the right position, so that's looking pretty good. And I can also, so just using again really simple shapes, give more of a sense of the sort of upturned nature of his nostrils. That's sort of a bit more specific to his nose shape. block in a little shadow underneath that. And I'm fairly happy with that for the kind of the sort of central aspect of his face to begin with. So I can now kind of start to build around that. More of the rest of the head. He's got a tall forehead. Probably the height of the forehead is the beginning of his hair that's in this sort of swoop. Is a similar sort of height to the distance between this mouth, his moustache around his mouth. Yeah, so the sort of the mouth to up to his brow, which is sort of about here. It's sort of lower in the center and then it sort of swoops. And his hair sits fairly kind of close on the right hand side. These are his sort of sideburns in position. Probably want to pull the left-hand side in a little bit closer as well. His hair's kind of slightly blonde, so it doesn't need to go super dark. I'm trying to remain fairly light-handed with it. And also trying to capture, it's quite a sort of widening across his forehead, maybe sort of thing we might not find till we start to actually render. Sometimes that's the case. The exact shaping we might not get till that point. Yeah, that's not looking too bad. Let's get his, so we know his side of his head kind of swoops in a little bit here. And here. Let's build his beard out somewhat as well. So now we have a sense of exactly where the beard would be going. I need to make his mouth feel a little bit smaller. Yeah, that's better. and give a little bit of the sense of, so the right hand side of the face is in more shadow than the left. So you can start to give a little bit of a sense of that as well. But on the whole, not unhappy with how it's taking shape. Still limiting myself to just this very loose sort of holding of the pencil. Gonna have a look at the collar now as well. Getting some of that in the kind of clothing that he's wearing. Quite nicely arranged, the clothing compositionally. So that's the dark side of his collar, of his kind of coat collar. And then I want his white collar popping up as well. And this is sort of where his, because he's side on to us, I think, and it's kind of looking over his shoulder, so we've got the reverse collar kind of follows on, or the opposite collar follows on a little bit on this left hand side as well. And the nice little detail of how his coat drops down. I might put just a little bit of a general tone across the darker parts of his coat. And then I'm gonna go back up to the hair now. And I realise I want to just lift the kind of darker part of his sideburn that sticks out a bit. Lift that up somewhat. So final thing I'm going to do, last few minutes of this session, holding the pencil slightly further up, and I'm just going to solidify or darken somewhat some of the darker notes here and there. So more definite, things I'm a bit more definite about value-wise before next session. put a little bit more beard across on the right hand side, a little bit more sideburn, and then I also want to just shade in a bit more generally the right hand side of the face, just to start to build a sense of the direction, sense of light, which we'll expand upon in the next week's session. And yeah, so that's going to be where we stop for today. Yeah, you can see the general block in. If you go back, you can rewatch sort of stages through the video, but obviously these sorts of things I know look easier when I do them, but if you kind of follow on step by step, either with this reference or one of your own, you should hopefully get the hang of it. And I'll be doing some more of this sort of thing as well, so don't worry about that. You can sort of follow on future videos too. But yeah, we'll leave it at that for today. As always, you can subscribe to the channel if you want to watch more videos from myself and other teachers and students. And if you want to see the sorts of paid qualifications we offer, you can also click the link through to our profile to have a browse through those. So yeah, that's it for today, and I'll see you guys soon.